Hello and welcome to Sedu International. I'm Yasmin Murray. We're so excited to have you here this evening. We are going to share an exciting program. First of all, I want to introduce to you a colleague and a peer, Dr. Natasha Rangel, who believes that it's important to empower men and women with confidence. As a mentor, coach, and a client, you can count on Natasha to help you gain clarity, think deeper, meet your expectations, and achieve your goals. Now, she's going to talk about tonight is really important because that is the professional's guide to mastering your confidence to advance your career and business. Please welcome Natasha Rangel. Over to you, Natasha.
Thank you, Yasmin. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hone in and listen on our live broadcast. We have so much to share about mastering your confidence to advance your career and business. So let's get started.
You know what? While Granison is getting ready, I have a really good quote.
All right.
You want to hear my quote?
I love your quotes, Yasmin. Please share.
All right, so my quote is confidence is the foundation upon which true leadership is built. It is the unwavering belief in oneself that inspires others to follow and accomplish extraordinary feats.
Absolutely. I love that quote. Such a great way to begin this presentation. So I would love to dive into what we're going to learn because I know you're here because you know we're going to learn about three things today. The first one is the 3 rounds of confidence and that no one told you about because it is so important to make sure that having that confidence, you're building credibility and trust. The other one is 20 words and phrases that can completely obliterate and kill your confidence when communicating with potential clients. And the third is 9 types of nonverbal communication. That means there's a way that you can communicate your confidence verbally and more. So this is going to help you master risk being a pushover. So, very interesting statistics that I want to share with you. 93% of people believe that self-confidence is extremely critical to success. And 85% of those people report struggling with those self-confidence issues at some point in their lives. 70% believe that self-confidence attributes to their career success and their employability. So, what this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that confidence ranks as the most attractive quality for both men and women. So, who is this for? Well, it's for everyone: entrepreneurs, business owners, professional services, people in nonprofits, people who are ready to take control and increase their self confidence and maximize your potential for success. So I want you to stay to the end because you're going to get a replay of this webinar and I'm going to show you how you can obtain a free strategy session with me on how we can further your confidence and advance that to success. So here are just a couple of items. We're going to have some engagement during this presentation. I love to engage and hear your feedback. So if you have any feedback or questions or anything that you want to share, please feel free to put it on that chat box right there on the right side. So silence your devices. Why? Because we have so much powerful information that is so transformational. That's going to absolutely change the way you do things after you leave this presentation. So take some notes. So who is Siduri International and what do we do? Well, I'm sure some of you are curious. What does Siduri stand for? Well, Siduri is magnetic. It's alluring. It's attractive. And it's charming. So hello, again, I'm Dr. Natasha Rangel. I'm your leadership development coach and communication specialist. I'm so excited to be here with you today. I have over 17 years of experience working with C-suite executives in the areas of mental health, business, and the nonprofit sector. And I'm excited to have my co-host, Granison Shines, who is our CEO and co-founder, aspiring author and motivational speaker, national speaker, entrepreneur, and executive leadership coach. You'll be hearing about him, so stay tuned. So what do? Well, we do everything to help you master your success and your confidence. How do you do that? Training, coaching, and consulting. Because we're in the mindset that when you do this, we work specifically mission-driven entrepreneurs to help them increase the sales. And that is important. Why? Because verbal and non-verbal communication, and believe it or not, they are 44 soft skills that are so important to closing the deals before, during, after the presentations, after your events, and after your meetings. So, in order to fully understand confidence and its purpose for success, one of the things that I would love for you to do in your chat box is tell me, what do you know about self-confidence? How do you define self-confidence? So I will give you about 30 seconds to a minute. You can drop in 1 or 2 words and let us know. And Yasmin will let us know if anybody has any responses for what your version of confidence is. Any comments or responses, Yasmin?
Not yet. If something comes up, I will raise my hand.
Okay, absolutely. So let's move on. So then I've got another one for you. So did you know approximately 80% of children experience a decline in their self-confidence after starting school? Can anyone tell me in the chat box why you think children decline in their self-confidence after beginning school?
Let me just interject here, Natasha. One of the things that typically happens that really mitigates our confidence is that we grow up, especially from our parents, with the idea of don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. So then when we become an adult, we go to a networking event, guess what? We don't talk to strangers. We go to conferences, people that we should be meeting, talking to, guess what? We don't talk to strangers. That little factor right there, I would say, change from our parental guidance and say, be mindful of strangers so that they don't allure you to different places, and making sure that we have that thought process. But as far as don't talk to strangers, no, I think kids should actually be a little bit more vocal than we have been teaching them.
Thank you, Granison. That is very insightful. Yes.
And also got a couple of comments. One of the comment is maybe they are the youngest sibling because the youngest siblings have the least confidence. Well, you know what? I beg to differ. Both Granison and I are the youngest, and I think we're the most confident in our families. And the second one was that sometimes the people that are closest to you are the ones that kill your confidence.
Oh, yes. That is a whole other great thing to talk about people that you know in your network, people that you engage with, and even your family, how that impacts your confidence. And that's something really awesome I love to enjoy to talk about in my strategy sessions. So there are 3 things about confidence. The first one is confidence is attractive. Now, don't mistake confidence for being arrogant. There's nothing wrong with having good, healthy confidence. And when we look at the word attractive, people enjoy engaging with people who are rays of light, who are positive, who have that finesse when they walk in the room and they know their stuff. That is what we look at when we see attractive. It's also a learned behavior. So if you're feeling right now that you may not have that self-confidence, or maybe you're just learning it, or maybe you're just trying to grasp what that self-confidence is, not to worry, because confidence is a learned behavior. It's also strategic. What do I mean by strategic? Well, when we think about confidence, everything we do, it's intentional and customized and unique to what we're going to do. It's intentional to the action. So now I'm going to have Granison talk about how confidence is integrated in the modalities.
Absolutely. So you may see this as a bit of an eye chart, depending on the device you're looking at. And what's essential about this is that we have this in our program. This is the foundation of our program, to be exact. And we have what we call in the middle, the triangle, the essence graphic, the essence of greatness and leadership. And the little satellite graphics you see around it are what we call the 8 modalities. Now, one of the things I learned in martial arts is that confidence is essential. In fact, that was the very one thing that I started when I was 15 years old that has massively increased my confidence. And in fact, all the teachings that you see here, actually all the modalities you see here in these graphics were the teachings that were embedded in us in martial arts. And I just happened to be a little bit precocious because all the time I was hearing my teacher in my ear, Granison, these things can be used outside the 4 walls of martial arts of this school. Granison, these things can be utilized outside the 4 walls of this school, over and over and over. So I took this as an opportunity to say, let me try this out in a real workplace environment for my career at the time. When I got into corporate, very young age, I started instituting this. But the one thing that we're going to really focus on, 2 things we're going to focus on here, is that the top right one that has the red box around it is called the 5 parts of the self modality. Now, we really dive into this when you go through the confidence course with Natasha, the 6-week class. We do a really, really deep dive into this. How to increase someone's confidence. 5 areas there. But the last one we'll focus on as well is self-control. So the one that's all the way over to the right, still the top right, the one that's in the box, but the most right pillar is called self-control. That's within that green box there, self-control. And you want to have self-control over your confidence, to not move the checkbox over all the way too far to the left into arrogance, and also too far right to where you don't have any confidence at all. It should be right there in the middle, making sure, again, the pendulum swings both ways, that you're right in the middle. Just let it just reside there confidently. So your confidence speaks. That's why we talk about communication confidence. But segues into the bottom one that you see that has the red graphic around it as well, the red box around it. Those are the 9 types of nonverbal communication. You want to have confidence in every single one of those and utilize them as Natasha just explained to us, confidently, strategically. Okay, it's a learned behavior, but you also want to have self-control over all 9 types of nonverbal communication. So when you're utilizing hand gestures, that's one of the factors, one of the 9 pillars there that we were talking about. They should be utilized strategically to enhance your verbal communication. When you talk about facial expressions, when you talk about how to shake someone's hand or you touch them with haptics, when you talk about paralinguistics, when you utilize your paralinguistics, all of that being instituted with and integrated with your confidence. Finally, in one of the classes, you're going to talk about your brand as an entrepreneur, as a career professional, as a consultant, as a coach. One big opportunity that's closely associated to the quality of work that you deliver is your appearance. In fact, there's been a lot of research on that. How you dress, how you appear, people automatically, right? Strategically, automatically, this is where you're being strategic by having the right appearance, that automatically associate your quality of work. Now, you have to make sure that you perform. You have to make sure that shows up as well. So having that opportunity to utilize the 9 types of nonverbal communication integrated with confidence, that's where the magic really happens. Because us consultants who are trained in confidence, I was specifically trained how to be more confident, utilizing martial arts as a tool. The tool. We're going to utilize a different tool for your business professionals. When you utilize a 6-week class, you're going to really dive deep into increasing your confidence. And one of the things we notice about confidence is that we have 12 different areas of confidence, 12 different areas that we've identified. Communication is one of them. Fashion confidence is another one. Sexual confidence is another one. Parental confidence, right? All these 12 areas that you see here on this left side graphic are extremely important. And in fact, one of the first opportunities you're going to have to assess your level of confidence, you're going to rate yourself when you join the program, Natasha, you're going to rate yourself in each one of those from 1 to 10. Absolutely, 1 to 10. And because we're training confidence, we'll know if you're telling the truth or not. We'll be talking about that. So that's something that we'll be mastering as we go about, is we're going to really focus in, because you're an entrepreneur and you're always in meetings, you're always delivering presentations, you're always going to events. So therefore, you have to communicate with people. So we're going to focus on the second one there, the yellow one, communication confidence. Now, another part that people may not ever tell you, kind of like what Tasha was talking about earlier, is that there are 3 realms of confidence. Most of the time when people talk about confidence, they talk about it in terms of self, my confidence. Oh, I'm confident I can do this. Or they could say, I'm self-confident I can do this. Or I have the ability to do this. They have the trust in their qualities, their abilities, and their judgments, right? But there are 2 other realms that's hardly ever spoken about. But as an entrepreneur, as a leader in your department, or as a leader of an organization, you have to focus on the other 2. Others' confidence. That's you assessing someone else's confidence before you give them some sort of task. Just give them an example. So you may have to size them up per se and make sure that you have confidence, or even they have confidence as well, but you're assessing their confidence and their ability to carry out the task that you told them that they must do. And then finally, there's installation of confidence. As a leader, we must inspire confidence in people. You may hear one of your team members one day say something like, well, I'm not sure I can do that. Well, I've never done that before. This is where you as a leader you start to instill confidence in them. Well, I know your skill set. I believe you can do this. Why I'm assigning you this task. Something as simple as that can start creating this long-lasting and ripple effect for success, because your confidence is increased by your accomplishments. They go hand in glove. So as you are going through and you're directing people to carry out different tasks, talk to different people, you're going to be accessing their level of confidence, but you're also going to be instilling confidence. And all of that, every single portion of that is strategic. If you're going to sell someone your product, you're going to sell someone your service, you have to instill confidence in them that you only have the skill set, but you are capable of carrying out and performing and delivering upon the promise that you have promised them. So we're going to be deep diving into both of these during the 6-week course. If you have an opportunity to join that, Natasha's really going to dive into that. But it's really, really important to understand what confidence is and how to master confidence, so you're not arrogant, but you're also going to instill confidence in other people. Over to you, Natasha.
Oh, thank you. So yes, did some of you know that confidence is an acronym? This really helped me to really propel forward in my career. And I will definitely be sharing throughout this acronym some of my testimonies and how these information that Granison, these modalities and strategies that Granison has just spoken of, how it really helped and changed my life personally and professionally. So one of the most important things about confidence is that it is your ability, your qualities, your judgments about how you feel about yourself from situation to situation. And so I want to start off on how you can kind of dive in and look at your own confidence and kind of see and take a just silent assessment, because I know confidence can be a really personal thing. It's a personal thing for me as well. So I'm going to share some of that. But here's the first one: being charismatic, having that charm, inspiring others about how you're motivated. Now, we go back to that definition of self-confidence when we talk about your qualities and your abilities. Well, that's all inspired by your charm and how you come across and your devotion to what you're doing. The next one is being optimistic, being positive about the future. It still means that you're a realist, but you are hopeful. I know that I've had many times where I had a vision about something, and maybe the things that I had in place weren't quite ready, but I was positive in my confidence in what I knew, my devotion and loyalty to the mission and values of my organization, and I was confident about the future, and I knew that I could do it. The next one we're going to talk about is nurturing. It is so important, whether you're an entrepreneur, meeting new clients or prospects, being a leader, being a team player, maybe you're an employee or you're a colleague. It is so important with confidence. People see and appreciate someone who's nurturing. You care about others. You are invested in not only in your work, but you're caring and you're encouraging the growth of not only yourself, but you're inspiring others to do the same. Fearless. Oh, I can tell you stories about fearless. Having fear just holds us back. It holds us back from our opportunities. It holds us back from those partnerships. It's holding us back from the vision of why we started our business. It holds us back from why we don't do those transformational changes. And believe it or not, people can sense your fear. This is why working on your confidence is just so important. Being independent. When we talk about being independent, we talk about being confident, sometimes in the decisions, and not being influenced by the other outside control, whether those external factors are our environment, the people that we work around. Sometimes being independent means not depending on other people to make that decision. And people can see that in your confidence. Being
Absolutely.
determined. You have a decision. Maybe not everyone on the team, maybe everybody's looking around and raising their hand because they're afraid to be that outlier. But there's nothing wrong with being determined when it helps you to make the right decision that is right for your business and it's right for your organization. And you can stand firm by it. Oh, empowerment. I love empowerment. I think this is so important to be able to give someone, I call it situational leadership, a leader in every chair. You don't have to have that title. You can have, if you're a leader here listening, you can give and empower the people that you work with that they can do this specific task. I think the also important thing about empowerment is something that I like to use as an example. How many of us are going for this award? We're going for Employee of the Year. You're the top 50 salesperson. You're going for that. Someone else gets that. What do? Do you feel, oh man, that should have been me? An empowered person, we love celebrating others. Could you imagine celebrating others and being so empowered? What does that do? How other people look at you when you can celebrate your colleague that's gotten that raise? Because you know what? One day that'll be you and someone will empower you and celebrate you. So always celebrate other people's successes. That is part of having confidence. Being natural. We all are blessed to have these innate gifts and talents that help us to achieve certain things. Hone into your talents and use them. Don't be shy, step out in fear.
Let me add something to that, Natasha, as well.
Say that again.
So let me add something to what you're saying. Let me build on top of what you're saying.
Sure.
I love that. And so what we need to do also in being confident is confidence is a skill set. Remember, strategic, and you can utilize it when you want to at will. Of course, making sure that you always present that frame, that confident frame. And you want to get so good at presenting yourself as a confident person that it looks natural to the other person. Doesn't look forced, doesn't look awkward, doesn't look unauthentic. It looks very, very savvy. It looks very, very finessed. It looks very, very controlled. So like what you're saying, I just wanted to build on top of that.
That's fantastic. No, thank you. And yeah, and so what Granison is saying, being natural should become like when you start to have confidence and you learn this just becomes your DNA. It's not an extra task. It's not something extra that you're being. It's a true authenticity of who you are. It just becomes who you are, and people see that and they're attracted to it. So the next one is being courageous. Stepping out and being brave, making those decisions. It might not be the decisions that everyone wants you to make. So let's talk about courageous. I want to give you an example. Think about someone who's just about to start a presentation, or they're a news anchor, or they're an actor. And what do they do on set? They go 3, 2, 1. And so what's really important about being courageous is it takes 20 seconds. So give yourself grace and give yourself 20 seconds to be courageous. Because what happens is all being courageous means taking an action. What does taking an action mean? It leads to momentum. So if I'm an anchor and I'm getting ready to go live and somebody tells me 3, 2, 1, man, I'm on live. So welcome. It's, let's talk about the weather forecast, right? So that's what's being courageous. So my friends, step out in courage. If you've got to go to that networking meeting, you've got this big CEO, they've got all these titles, and you're sitting there like, I am not on their level. Give yourself 20 seconds to be courageous. Count 3, 2, 1, and you just go. And then all of a sudden, what's happening? You're walking, the momentum is going, and there you are, absolutely getting an opportunity. So the last one is being empathetic. I think this is so important in our world today. Whether you're a leader, you're an employee, you're an inspiring entrepreneur, you're a part of a team, it is so important to be able to have the ability to understand others and being able to listen, not to react, but listen to respond, and being able to acknowledge and share others' feelings. That is all part of your confidence. Oh, let's talk about this. So I am the queen of having words and phrases that obliterate opportunities, because I like to use and like and yeah and so. So we are going to talk about those filler words and those low power words, but let's look at something that is really important. So a lot of employees are now seeing and enlisting coaches and recruiters because why? Self-confidence is becoming the top soft skill of employability. That's not something that's often taught in school, but employers enjoy and love and they appreciate. And that's at a 50% statistic rate from employers. So here we go. Natasha's past, I say past because I was the queen of using some of these filler words. How many of you have used words like, while you're trying to think of something? Or like? Because what do you think those filler words do? Sometimes when someone's watching you present and you're using those filler words, it could come across like you don't know what you're going to say next, or you're not so confident about what you're about to say, or maybe you really don't know what to say. It is so important that when you look at your words and phrases, that you're extremely concise and detailed on how you communicate your confidence. Because why? People are going to judge you by that. They're going to judge you by your filler words, and they're going to judge you by your confidence. So when you're speaking concise, when you're speaking direct, people are more likely to lean in and listen more. And let me tell you something. So on that free strategy session, I am going to tell you one thing on that strategy session. There is one amazing strategy that I will share with you that will kill these filler words and prevent you from losing low power phrases.
Yeah, these low power phrases, they are very, very detrimental. What people must realize that as soon as you're in a meeting, you're giving a presentation or you're at some networking event and you start talking, you start collaborating with people, and the whole entire time you show up, when you start utilizing these filler words, low power phrases, what's happening is starting to diminish. It gets lower, and the credibility that you have and your confidence that you have in your subject matter just completely just obliterates it. So my opportunity in saying this is to not utilize these words. I have one. We all have one that we utilize most of the time. Mine is so kind of like what Natasha was talking about. I interject that one here and there. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to how I talk, you listen how Yasmin talks, you listen how Natasha talks, it's very, very strategic. We're in front of other individuals who have inquired about our products, inquired about our services, how we can come in and help transform the organization, we are not utilizing these filler words. It takes practice, and it's a toil of the brain, I tell you, because I had to learn this skill set a long time ago to not utilize filler words, not utilize low power phrases, because it diminishes the competence that someone else sees in me. And this is where we have to be extremely careful to make sure that we have the right verbiage, the right verbal and nonverbal communication, and not utilize filler words and low power phrases at all.
So Granison, would you mind if I just share my experience with confidence?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So I was able to apply everything that we just talked about to a recent situation. So last year, some of the coaching, so just kind of let you know, some of the people that I coach, they're leaders in criminal justice, they're leaders in mental health, they're leaders in the nonprofit industry and also business. So for the very first time, I had an amazing opportunity just about 6 months ago where I was approached by the assistant, and I just caught myself. I said, so we get better and better at that. So here's an example. So I got approached by an assistant district attorney, and I did not feel confident. I was, why would he want to talk to me? I'm not an attorney. I'm not sure if I can do what he's asking me to. So basically what he was asking me to do was he wanted me to help and coach women that have been victims of trauma. And some of these women were people that had come just out of the criminal system. Now, had I not utilized some of these measures about being charismatic, honing in on my being natural, at my gifts, being courageous, because I knew the content. I just didn't know the people. And I started to use a lot of what was in the acronyms. I started to use a lot of the strategies. And I stepped out in fear and I said yes. And guess what? Out of the nonprofits that had 2, 3, 4 million people, $4 million worth of funding, I had nothing compared to that. But what did I do? The biggest fear, the biggest thing in confidence to me, for me, it might be different for you, was fear. I allowed fear to overtake my talents, skills, and abilities. So I took that fear and I just stepped out and I did the 3, 2, 1. And then guess what? I had to do 3, 2, 1 again because he wanted to do a 3-hour interview. And I don't know about you, but my biggest fear sometimes can be being on video. Well, I got to exercise my confidence during that time. And thanks to Granison and Yasmin and using these strategies, I was able to get through a 3-hour intense media interview without saying filler words and feeling like I belong at the table. So here's another thing about confidence. Go sit at the table. How many times have you gone into a workshop? Have you gone into a network event? Have you gone into a class and you wait to see everyone sits and you hope you get the last seat in the back? What does that do for your confidence, right? So what I want to say before Granison goes into this nonverbal communication, now mind you, people are looking at you non-verbally. They're looking around. They see that girl in the back, and then she's sitting in the back. What do you say? Your opportunity, just by movement, without saying anything, is take a seat at the table. When you take a seat at the table, your confidence, and you do that 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. I'm walking over to the very front chair. Never thought I would do it. And you sit at the table, and I'm telling you from my own experience, I received more opportunities that I was even prepared to do. Why? Because I took a seat and sat at the table. Wow. So now to you, Granison.
Perfect. No, that's perfect. Because understanding nonverbal communication, I always say this, your confidence speaks loudly even before you utter your very first words. But you have to take control over the confidence too. You have to maintain that frame like Natasha's talking about and go sit at the table. Don't be afraid. Put yourself out there so you can get the success that you need in order to be more confident. So when we're talking about the 9 types of nonverbal communication, this one here is one of my favorite modalities. Catch Me on Another Day, one of the 8 might be my favorite as well, because I'm always talking about them. But this one here has its magic properties. Let me put it like this. There are a lot of times we go to a networking event. We're all entrepreneurs, business professionals, same thing. We go to events and we meet people, we talk to people, at least hopefully you are. But a lot of people I see, they walk into the venue and they just sit down, they plop themselves down, they're on their phone, they're looking around, and they're trying to bring this shell around, this invisible shell around themselves so people once can talk to them, but almost not. I say reverse the game, folks. Reverse the whole entire game. When you master these nonverbal communication cues, what happens is it turns around. People are attracted to you. People will come to you. And this is what they don't teach a lot of coaches and consultants. I haven't been to anywhere. I've been to a lot over my years, a lot of different seminars and workshops and all these other aspects. They talk about nonverbal communication, this and that. No one has ever spoken about how to reverse the game, how to get people to come to you when you're at those events. That's what we're going to be exposing to you, that type of content when you join Natasha's class, because we can't talk about it in this small period of time. Even this is a 2-hour conversation just in and of itself. But how do you sit down and or stand appropriately, confidently, and have people come over to you? That's how you make it happen, folks. But try going to any other one. You don't have to try, just even if you have, look at some of your past experiences. Anyone ever told you how to flip the script on that? Probably not. So how do we utilize all 9 of these in a very, very strategic way? Maybe not one, but as far as artifacts and symbols. But everything else is absolutely apropos for your presentations, your events, and your meetings. And if you are a successful business professional, successful entrepreneur, you're always in those 3: meetings, delivering presentations, or going to events, conferences, everything else. People will then start to ask you to speak at those events by way of how you present yourself. Now, it has to match up. I'm going to put a little caveat out there. Your nonverbal communication, as controlled as you are, as confident you are, has to match up when you open your mouth, folks, because then you'll destroy the whole strategy of being confident and displaying your confidence and demonstrating your expertise and confidence if you open your mouth and it doesn't match up. I've seen people just absolutely lose their credibility by opening up their mouth and completely annihilate what they have presented at the event. Now, let me give you another little caveat. Here's a writer downer. Might want to get your pen on this one. I'm going to focus on appearance here for a second, okay? And this is one part of the strategy I'm going to give you right now. And then when you join the class, we talk about all the other stuff. There's so many of these. When you walk into the event, when you walk into the venue, when you walk into the meeting, you walk into the conference room, whatever, if there are people already in here, here's what happens. I'm going to exaggerate, but this is exactly what happens. As soon as you walk through the door, here's what happens. Up, down, up. They look you up and down. Your job as a successful entrepreneur, a successful business professional, is to give them something to talk about, to comment on you about. Oh, I like your tie. Oh, I like your shoes, whatever, because they're going to look you up and down. Give them something at the top, give them something in the middle, give them something down below. And therefore, when they're in front of you, people will walk over to you and just give you this compliment, and that breaks the ice. That breaks the ice, folks, and that's what you need. So this modality here is extremely important. We go through all the other aspects of how to properly utilize your facial expressions and what those micro expressions are, the ones that you might not have subconscious control over. How do we bring it from the subconscious to the conscious mind so that it's at the forefront of your mind? We start talking about gestures. How do we utilize hand gestures appropriately? Your hand gestures should complement what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Very strategic on how you utilize gestures. Your paralinguistics, people talk, your pitch, your tone, your speed, your inflection, all of that, the volume, understanding that will bring people to different levels of attention while you're talking to them. It's extremely important on how to do that. Proximity or proxemics, how close you are. That's also going to be cultural, but understanding that giving the proper distance also can connote a lot of different or I should say, it will accentuate your message. Your eye contact, of course, understanding the triangle. We go into all these, touching, how to appropriately utilize the handshake, and or the two handshake, or the handshake with the elbow and leading them where you want. I mean, so many strategies. Your appearance, I just spoke about that one. Artifacts and symbols might not be as apropos unless you're at a doctor's conference and everyone comes in with their garb. Sometimes yay, sometimes no. But then your body language. How do you project your energy the right way so that people can come over to you and you're not closing them off unintentionally, subconsciously? Because people do this all the time and they wonder why people do not approach them. I guarantee you it's your body language. We talk about how to properly sit, how to properly stand, how to properly pose. All these things and piecing them all together matters 100%. And it matters way more than you think. And I'm saying that because most of us have not been sat down by a coach like Natasha, by a coach like Yasmin, and said, hey, here's how you do this. We do this every day at the C-level executive level in the organizations. We coach them on how to present on the stage, utilizing the 9 types of nonverbal communication appropriately. How to utilize it for one person, laser in on that person, give them that warm, fuzzy and feel and everything else, and be truly authentic, not just performing, being truly authentic, but also how do you project that out to the entire room that you're going to be speaking to at some point in time as you elevate your levels of success. This is extremely important to know. And it's important to know before you have your meeting, before you are on the stage presenting, before you're at the event. Master this, get teaching, have someone like Natasha sit out in front of you and go through all of this so that when you do have the opportunity, you are well prepared. You're more than prepared for success. That's what I want to share with you right there. All right. So 3 important factors, important imperative factors you must do in order to master your self-confidence. Okay, so let's talk about that right quick. So here's another little fun fact for you. I like putting these little facts in there because they are just get right inside your mind and give you what the research has been talking about. People with low self-confidence earn an average. So it can be higher, sometimes a little bit lower, but an average of $8,000 less per year than people that have a high self-confidence. Let that marinate for a minute. And in fact, one of the things that we train our coaches is, and you as an entrepreneur have to do this as well. If you're in sales, you also have to do this. If you don't have a structured pricing level where you have to sell something at this particular level, you have to make sure that you sell yourself first. That's the part one. But then you also have the confidence to ask for a certain dollar amount. Now, it can't be over the marketplace value. Well, it can be if you have a certain niche or whatever it may be, or you have a certain opportunity to really add some value. But let this sink in for a minute. $8,000 less. So I will say it like this. What you charge even for your service is directly related, associated with, integrated with your level of confidence. Let that marinate for a second. All right. Say one more again. Say one more time. One more again, as my cousin would say. What you sell your products and services for, if you're an entrepreneur, is directly related to, especially services-based businesses, not so much the products. If products has a certain market value, is directly related to the level of confidence which you can ask for. My coach, one of my coaches, Bill, taught me that. Excuse me, that was Dan. Dan taught me that. I'm like, that's really true? And then you have to think about it when you have a quote, a proposal you're going to give someone. Let's say they want your consulting services. You have to be very, very mindful of what you're going to be mindful of what you're going to charge them. And again, it's closely associated to your level of confidence of what you're going to ask for and how you therefore negotiate. So here's point number 1, developing a master of confidence, right? Understanding how to master confidence. There's 6 things that you have to do. We'll talk about that in the program. You do these six things in any particular direct towards any skill set, you will master that skill set. So first of all, one thing you have to do is get coaching from someone who knows the intricacies of and the complexities, not of human nature, but also confidence and how that relates to human nature. We talk about that. Human nature is a big part of being confident, but also assessing someone else's confidence. Another aspect of it, learning this modality here, 6 principles of mastery. I'll give you 3. We all have 3 learning styles. audio, visual, kinesthetics. 3 of the 6 that you see right here on this particular graphic. Audio, visual, kinesthetic. You have to know which one to employ at the right moment for that person because of their learning style. One of those is more prevalent. And you have to be able to be mindful, confidently dive into that one and hone in on that one first as you are talking or as you're demonstrating your expertise. Let me put it like that. As you're demonstrating expertise, you should hone in on one of those 3 learning styles, audio, visual, kinesthetic. We have to quickly assess. And then finally, the third piece that you want to understand is get comfortable with testing, trying out different opportunities with your level of confidence. Or actually even put it like this, the confidence concepts that we are going to teach you during the 6-week class. I'll be in that class too. And Natasha delivers it fantastic, but everything is laid out for you so you can understand. It's very apropos for you to take what you have in your subconscious, all the things we put that are way back in the way back part of your brain, bring them to the forefront. So it's top of mind awareness, or TOMA, top of mind awareness. Remember that one. We'll be talking about that in the program again. Top of mind awareness. Now here's the one fascinating thing about us humans. We're all reprogrammable. So you can reprogram your subconscious. That's a big part of our program. Reprogramming your subconscious to be confident, to put it top of mind so that you continue to have this frame everywhere you go and you never deviate from the confident frame. There'll be times when the energy around the room or you're talking to people, and when you depart, you may just feel depleted, right? You want to just sigh and you want to just have that time to refresh and defrag and everything else. Well, that's apropos for being or maintaining the frame that you're going to consistently keep on. Having that confident frame, gravitas. If you're a C-level executive, gravitas. How do you maintain that gravitas? Where, like Natasha said, it becomes part of your DNA. It's reprogrammed at the cellular level within your mindset and your body. Because another thing that people won't tell you, you might, if you know some parts of, some aspects about the brain, then you'll have an affinity with what I'm talking about right now. What happens when you learn a new skill set and you're debunking the past theories and all the stereotypes, all these other things, when you learn this new skill set, what happens in your brain is that you form this new neural pathway, this cluster of cells that also come together for a really tight opportunity for you to learn and hone in and master that skill set. So as you're debunking and you're reprogramming, you're relearning, what happens is it separates in your brain, and over here it forms a new neural pathway, this new cluster of cells based on that skill set. Confidence is the exact same way inside your mindset, inside your brain, your physical brain, but it's a mindset thing that you have to usher into. And the more you do this, the more you start testing things. We're going to teach you how to test. The more you experiment, we're going to teach you how to experiment. There'll be some assignments. Yes, there will be some assignments because we have to know that you know the concepts before the meeting, before the presentation, before the networking event. So when you're out there, you're on, and no one can deter you. Your confidence becomes unshakable, and you are doing what you need to do. This is very, very closely tied to your level of success. And as you saw about reading about the employers, this is very, very closely tied to you escalating in your career as well. So that's what
Can I give a tip, Granison?
Absolutely, for sure.
Okay, so I was listening in very carefully about what Granison was talking about, reframing your mind. Do some of y'all recall that on your phones, you have memories that pop up, you have reels, it makes a collage? Try taking some time. There is research done on that. So when you collect or put a collage of your achievements together, we are so hard on ourselves. And one of the things that can help retrain your brain, reframe your mind when you're trying to step out in fear and you have that doubt is celebrate yourself. We do not take time to celebrate ourselves. Put all those awards, those trophies, the big things that you stepped out in courage for, and have that saved somewhere so that every now and then you know that you have that confidence to step out in fear. You have that courage. Because why? In order to have confidence, you have to know that you have the ability to achieve the success. And why do I say that? Because you've already achieved the success. So remind yourself that you do have that natural talent and ability and skill sets to do that. It just might look different in every situation and every event. The other thing that I kind of want to leave you with is support others. When you support others and you celebrate their achievements, that is another way that you exude confidence. When you can celebrate someone else and not make it about you, you empower others to have that confidence. Confidence is extremely contagious, and it is very easy to learn, and it is very strategic. And so we are so excited that you came on today for the live presentation. And we hope, because if you don't know about your power color, I will tell you about your power color in the strategy session. Believe it or not, you can walk into a room, a huge conference of 400 or 500 people, and people could be in the midst of the conversation and they will stop and look at you. That is even before you have a conversation. So in that strategy session, I'm going to tell you that one skill, that one special, it's just one secret power sauce of how not to use the filler words, how not to use the low power phrases, and that power color that's going to make you turn, that's going to make heads turn.
Absolutely. Well stated. I believe we have some questions. Some people sent some questions earlier on. And so, Yasmin, can you deliver those questions for us to answer?
Yes, I will. Thank you both. Thank you both, Granison and Natasha, for such great information on confidence. Now we're going to pick your brain a little bit more. The first question for both of you is, whoever chooses to answer this, the acronym you shared about confidence, the CONFIDENCE, what is the most important ingredients of the confidence? Is it charisma? Is it fearless? Is it courage? Which one do you feel is the most important?
Want to go first, Natasha?
Sure. Well, for me, I feel that being fearless for me has really worked, because when you have so much fear, you don't see the positive in the future. It deters your ability to have that influence and detracts you from being inspiring, because you don't have that fear. You don't feel like you can be independent and make that decision and not go along with what everyone's doing. And then you don't feel empowered and you don't feel courageous. So I feel like in that acronym of confidence, it's really hard that because fear can paralyze you. Let me tell you, fear can paralyze you, and it can prevent you from opportunities. So if you're stuck in that space, for me, it's hard to be optimistic. It's hard because you have all these limiting beliefs.
I like that. So here's my side of it. I'm going to say charismatic, having that charisma. Why do I say that? Because in order to be charismatic and display charisma, you have to have both the verbal and nonverbal communication closely utilized together. Charisma, yes, is not just about the mouthpiece and what you say, but it's all about those actions that you portray and the confidence that you have in your natural body movement. That's another one of the words there for the end, right? But having that charisma is really honing in on the essence of confidence, talking appropriately, making sure you have the right or utilize the right vernacular, for lack of a better phrase, increasing your lexicon or your vocabulary. That absolutely helps as well. And people see that you're educated, but having that charisma, being able to have those natural flowing movements, make people smile, make people laugh, be charming, be great in front of them, and just making it very, very natural and very finesse. Again, it's a learned skill set. And as you have more accomplishments and successes with this, then you're going to have this elevated level of confidence. And therefore, here you are, confident in your meetings and your presentations, and actually when you're at every single event that you're going to go to. So that's my answer to that one, Yasmin.
That was mine too. I was going to say charismatic. All right. So we have
Excellent.
another question. How can you determine someone's confidence in the way they walk, the way they talk, or sit?
I like that one. Yeah, I'll take that one first. When you become versed at confidence, what you will notice is that the body tells a lot about that level of confidence. Shoulders usually rounded and in front versus back and chest out. Chin's usually down. People walk with their eyes looking down versus looking up. People, when you walk by them, you look them in the eye, you don't drop your head, or you may walk by them and you smile, but then you turn straight versus dropping your head. All those little small, little subtle things that we pick up on. If you're out there dating as well, believe me, confidence is one of the most attractive things that you can have going for you. So being able to assess that, being able to look across the guy or the lady walking across the parking lot and assess their level of confidence quickly, that's where the magic happens in terms of you being able to display as a leader, display confidence, but also assess someone else's confidence as well. That's my answer to that one.
What you said, Granison. Well, some other ones to add on. That's perfect. That's actually what some of the ones that I was going to share. So another one is your eye contact. You know, if you look direct in the eye, you're looking down. Your tone of voice. If you know, kind of what Granison. You're like, you know, hi, my name is Natasha. You know, you're just, you know, your handshake. All of those things.
Or whether it's all limp, right?
If you're looking up and you're just kind of ready to take on the room and the world. You don't know what that's going to bring, but you have that confidence that that's going to happen. I've seen people think about when we talk about nonverbal and confidence. There's some people that are very shy, so they'll fold their arms. What does the communication theory say about folding arms? I don't want to be approached.
Yep.
Why do you want to be approached? Maybe I'm shy. Maybe I'm afraid you're going to ask me information. Maybe I'm afraid to talk to people because I don't know what you're going to ask me. Maybe I've just scoped the room and their outfit looks better than mine and they've got bigger titles. So now I'm just over in the corner, just, you know, hoping somebody doesn't notice me, right? So those things to me also are important.
Let me add one more thing you're talking about and build on that a bit more. People think that because you're shy, you can't be confident. And because you're an introvert, you can't be confident. Far from the truth. We teach people this all the time. Nope, not at all. That's a very big misconception about the proper utilization of confidence. Oh, I'm shy, so therefore I'm not confident. No, you have to be able to turn it on. That's where the skill set comes into play. At will, we have one of the modalities, mind, will, imagination, emotions, and intellect. Well, at will, being determined and resilient and deciding, that's your decision maker, deciding to turn it on when you need it on. Some people think that just because they are one way, that's the one way they show up all the time. No, I believe in being confident all the time and keeping that frame, as I was talking to you about earlier. But if you're naturally shy, you're naturally introverted, yes, you can display confidence. You just have to learn how to turn it on. As extroverts, we have to be careful, learn how to dial it back so that we are not being seen as arrogant or aggressive, right? So they both have their particular nuances, but our job and your job is to balance it out. You have to know both sides of the equation in order to really make this work. And that takes practice, takes coaching, takes strategy, takes know-how, takes understanding the concepts, takes practice, takes going out there experimenting, takes talking to people. There's a lot to it. And then you can become way more confident, utilize this at will every single time.
And kind of tagging on what you said, Granison, sometimes people think when you know you're confident, you can be okay with those awkward moments of space.
Sure.
You know, when you're trying to get to know someone and people start, whether it's a date, I mean, it could be anything, a meeting, your first time you met someone at a networking event, now you're meeting for coffee and you look around, it's okay to have a little bit of a pause. You don't constantly have to be talking. Why? Because some people will look at that as you're trying to dominate the conversation. You're trying to overtake. You're not confident with just being in the moment.
Yeah, very true.
So sometimes it's good to have those conversations and welcome. Maybe that person is thinking and they have something to say next and you have to give them. And I was the queen of that. Like, I do not like, I'm a very social person. And I feel like if I'm in front of you, we should always be having a conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
And so for me, the pause, I took it as awkwardness, and I took it as maybe I don't want them to think I don't know what I'm saying, but that's my own self-confidence getting to me. So I've learned to just be in that moment, let the conversation sit for a little while, and then engage back in later. There's nothing wrong with that when you're engaging in conversation.
And you know, you didn't mention, Natasha, remember there's power in the pause.
Yes, yes.
And one more thing I want to add, we're talking about the walk, and Granison will tell you, you might have walked and talked your whole life, but we teach you and coach you how to walk and talk with confidence.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I remember quick little story. My boss one day, he said, okay, Granison, Bruce Powers, fantastic, one of the best bosses I've ever had. Working at Space Systems Laura, here I am about 19, 20 years old. Hey, Granison, today I'm going to teach you how to walk. I'm like, you teach me how to walk. Dude, I've been walking all my life. Look at me. I'm a grown man. What are you talking about walk? And he displayed, and I'll tell you the story and later on so we can move on. But it's a very fantastic story on how to walk confidently. It's a phenomenon most people don't talk about. Now, a lot of C-level executives, a lot of people at that level will not tell you that they have been taught how to walk and how to utilize their body language. They won't tell you that, though. It's a little secret that most of them have. And I can tell when they've been trained and coached on how to do that. So over to you, Yasmin.
And I can't stand people who drag their feet when they walk.
Yeah, confident people don't do that. Absolutely not.
That's my pet peeve.
No.
We really do coach you how to walk with confidence. So here's another question for you. How long does it take to become confident?
Oh, that one is very particular. Yeah, that was very particular. It's a good question. Whoever asked that question, very, very good question. How long does it take? Well, I will tell you this. It takes consistency and persistency over a period of time, for sure, because you have to understand who you are. And if you don't understand who you are, it's going to be part of the battle, because you're going to have some conflicting and confrontation with yourself internally in order to do that. And some of those things need to be moved out of the way and broken down and torn apart before you start stepping into confidence. So I've seen people start being very, very confident after our program and teaching them, and after looking at the videos and the before and after, everything else. So if I had to put a definitive time frame on, which is totally subjective, it's not for everyone, within the next 12 weeks, continuous practicing, right? Because it takes 90 days to change the behavior. Make sure that you have that. Once it starts becoming the behavior of how you operate, then you'll start noticing some things about yourself, and you're going to skyrocket your confidence and everything else that you're going to do as well. So I'm going to say around 12 weeks, because you have to change a lot of behavior. You have to reprogram the subconscious. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do.
What Granison said, consistency in anything you do strategically, anything that you're trying to change takes consistency and dedication.
Yep, absolutely.
And Granison, you said 12 weeks. Well, 12 weeks is just getting started with confidence.
Sure.
There has to be continuous education on confidence.
Yes, continuous. And in fact, we'll talk about the program as well, how you can take this multiple times without even any further investment. But we'll be talking about that. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, the last question I have here is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what level is acceptable for the interviewers or people who do the hiring?
Okay, that's a good one too.
Range of 1 to 10.
Yeah, you want to take that, Tasha? What is your opinion? Then I'll share mine.
My opinion would be, if I had to rank on 1 to 10, maybe 6, 7.
Okay, all right. And if I could get in you 7, because most people say 7, that's kind of the medium number or the happy place, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna say 6. 6. If you're right above that threshold of being confident, or you're walking in confidence, by the time you're 6, Anything below that is going to display some levels of conflict internally that you have in your mindset, especially for the trained eye. And if someone who's an employer, they're trained to look at certain aspects and assess these levels at a minute, rudimentary level. Somebody that, as Natasha or Yasmin, they're going to be way more scrutinized, or they're going to be a lot more scrutiny for you if they're gauging that. But if you're a 6, you're in a good spot to start increasing and having the accomplishments along with your competence. 6 is a good starting sweet spot for me. Yep.
Okay.
That's all the questions?
No, that's all the questions. Can I end with a quote?
Well, I want to make sure that I give them an opportunity to join Natasha. So here's an opportunity that we want to have everyone. I'm going to show this right quick. Do this. Go to, actually, let me show you this particular thing here. Actually, go here. So seduriintl.com/master your confidence. Seduri, SEDUIREINTL.com/master your confidence, all one word. What I want you to do here, be very diligent and be very strategic about doing this, and be very quick about it too. So make sure you go here and just fill out this information to get your free strategy session. Fill in the information, the forms, your name, email address, number, what day and time for Natasha to call you. But while you're on here, do peruse this page, because what you're going to see is what this program is all about. And you'll see that's a 6-week program diving into making sure that you have supplemental videos and workbooks and everything else, follow-along guides, role play scenarios, homework assignments. What are some of the benefits for taking this particular class? You have to read this, because if you identify with any 2 of these, then this class is for you for sure, because it's all about how you're going to increase and continually increase your confidence. Look at who this is even suitable for sure. Understanding that in all areas, those 12 areas, this addresses some of that. But if you want to increase your finance, your brand expertise, and all these other nuances, and then read about the information on what the program entails, the totality of the program, 6 courses, 1.5 hour each, allocate 2 hours, I like to say. You get the workbooks, you make sure we get the one program, or I should say 1 day per week. We have what we call a coach and do methodology. So Natasha's going to coach you. You're going to go out and do the next week, and then you're going to come back and report your findings and your experiments. We'll teach you how to experiment, and making sure you have that going every single time. And then you get certified in confidence. No one's going to certify you in confidence, but we'll know that you've increased, and you'll see that you've increased as well. Do look at the different lessons. There are 6 different lessons here, just to give you an idea. Confidence 101 basics, the 3 realms of confidence, how to master and utilize them for personal success. I'll give you one more, because there are 3 verbal and 3 nonverbal ones. Then we talk about verbal communication, mastering confidence in your verbal communication skills with power talking. Power talking is phenomenal. If you never heard the word power talking is all about how you talk without utilizing filler words, but be very committed, be very certain, be very strategic in how you communicate. Some people who have taken the course over the period of time, look at some of their videos as well. There's a lot more that we have coming about. We have somebody executing, or I should say cutting some of the other videos and posting them on here as well. But there's a lot of information. And then what you get when you're on the actual class, the MP3 downloads, all the video recordings, because you're going to have Zoom. You're going to be in a small class. You're going to keep it small so that you can have a very intimate environment. And Natasha will be talking to you about that. But here's something that I want to share with you. Whatever you invest in the course, and talk to Natasha about that during your strategy session, she'll reveal that to you. Here are 2 things that you're going to get. One is 30-day money back guarantee. So you can't use one single tip, tool, concept we teach in the program, we'll refund your money back. To this date, we've been doing this for a very, very long time. We have never had anybody partake in that as well. But also, here's another thing that you might not get from any other place. If you are a differentiating factor, if you enroll and invest in the class one time, you can take it as many times as you want. Okay? That means that, so Granison, are you saying that if I take it all 6 weeks and then I want to take it another 6 weeks, I can do that? Yes, absolutely. Because we want to make sure you understand how to utilize these concepts, because we know what difference it's going to make. I can completely assess my life, and I have several times, according to my level of confidence and what we're going to be teaching in class, that has resulted in more money in my pocket. For sure, 100%. From when I was working in the corporate environment to where I am now as an entrepreneur, and the same concepts never get old. So do us a favor here, fill in this form. It's at the bottom of the page too, and then you'll be able to talk to Natasha. She'll give you all the information, details, and then she'll give you the date certain and everything else when we're rolling in the class. So that's what I wanted to share there. Yasmin, you got a joke for us, right? You said
joke. Well, I wasn't going to tell jokes because some of them are corny, but they're fun. Okay, I'll share one. You know, I love these jokes. All right. So this joke is, why was the confident musician always smiling?
No idea.
Because he knew he had all the keys to succeed.
All right, there you go. Yasmin and the jokes, folks.
But I do have a closing after Natasha says goodbye. I do have a closing quote.
Okay.
So, Natasha, you have anything to say before we all go?
No, the only thing I would say is thank you, each and every one of you for taking the time to enjoy the to join the live broadcast. And just a couple of things. Self-confidence is important because there are many studies done that self-confidence reduces anxiety, it reduces stress, it increases your mental health in a positive manner. It also shows that the more confident that we are, the better decisions that we make, and the more resilient we become.
Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. Granison, do you have any closing comments?
Closing comment. Thank you very much for your time, folks. I love teaching these classes, and I will be in with the class as well with Natasha. She's gonna knock your socks off when she teaches this stuff to you, guaranteed. But do make sure you go here, ShadirINTL.com. I left it up so that you can see, write it down, click on the link, whatever it may be, and then go right to it, and you'll see all the information about the class. But don't hesitate. Get in touch with Natasha right away, because the more you wait, the less confident you are going to be in signing up for the class. We don't want that. We want to make sure we give you everything that you deserve in terms of being more confident, so you can make ultimately more money, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to helping you, and we'll see you on the other side.
And she's awesome. And here is the closing quote for you. Confidence is the spark that ignites our potential, the driving force that propels us to leap into the unknown, and the unwavering belief in our abilities that turns dreams into reality.
I like that. All right, cool.
I will leave you with that. Everyone have a great evening, and thank you for joining. And again, Natasha and Granison, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you on the other side. Have a great evening. Thank you.
All right, folks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.